Peter, welcome to the P&G Investment Conference. This is actually the second conference you've spoken at. You spoke at our event in 2019. At the time, things were at a very early stage of development for the Ihu Special Economic Zone. A lot has happened in the last 2 years, I understand. Perhaps you could just bring us up to date.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you for promoting us, and it's been a pleasure that you hosted us in the FAST event in Sydney 2 years ago. Yes, definitely, we've made a lot of tracks on what we on the project itself. Thank you for that. So basically, in the last 2 years, what we've done is move the project from a conceptual stage to an approval stage where the national government has basically approved the project in its entirety. So we received that approval in 2020 last year. Not only that, but the national government has also approved the project funding of up to 100 million kina. That's about 20 million annually to support the administration and the office and the work that we are doing, so that we could bring this project to the next level. And also in line with that, the national government has also passed the Special Economic Zone Authority Act in 2020 as well. So those are the things that have happened for the project and for the Special Economic Zone development program as a whole in the country.
So Peter, my understanding is the whole genesis or the whole original idea of this zone is to ensure that when the Papua LNG gas project commences, and we hope very much it will go into feed next year with a final investment decision as well to follow, that there is infrastructure in the Gulf province to support that project and other projects that can eventuate as well. Is that correct? Exactly.
Our Gulf is even though a big Papua LNG project is being planned and is going to happen, there's really no infrastructure on the ground in that space. All that needs to be built, and we are looking at making sure that we build some infrastructure within the next 3 years to 5 years, so that infrastructure enables our local people to have access to service, but also be beneficiaries in the Papua LNG project, as well as other projects that will be happening in that space. And we are taking that initiative to do that. So we'll give you some updates on that.
Excellent. So what parts of the zone have already been listed as being constructed as a part of the plan? What are we going to see in that zone?
Thank you. We've got 2 programs, major programs that we are running under the Special Economic Zone project. One is the critical capital infrastructures. That's our number one of the priorities of our project. That's program 1, and program 2 is the industrial zones development. So those are 2 separate programs that we have. Our priority right now is to look at the infrastructures that we can build, including roads, seaports, airport, power, water, and of course a settlement town for all the activities that needs to happen. So those, and not forgetting telecommunications.
So that's a lot of money that needs to come in to the province in order for those pieces of infrastructure to be constructed. At this stage, Peter, where are you on the financing of the construction, and what else needs to happen?
Thank you. What we have done basically is working with state agencies and other agencies that are responsible for those infrastructures, such as the Works Department, Department of Transport, and port facilities, and telecommunications. So we are talking to DataCo, we are talking to Department of Works, we are talking to Transport, and basically making sure that we are working partnership to develop those programs. So what the project has done already is that we have put together a road programs, and we have funded that under the funds that were allocated to us last year. And so we've got Works Department engineers onto the location, and they have gone in and done the survey and the scoping that will connect the road from Papua LNG project site down to our project site. That's done, and that scoping has been completed, and the costing has been completed. We need to first understand the costing of the road project. So that's been done now. Number 2 is that there's a road connection from Kengemar town to our project site that's been sitting idle for some time, and we've worked with our member and the government to make sure that that's been done, and so that road construction has restarted. So as we speak, there's equipment on the ground, there's building that connection from Kengemar town to our project site, and that construction is has started a month ago and it's continuing now. And we've also been able to rehabilitate 3 airstrips within the project site. One is Ihu, another one is Baimuru. So those airstrips are now running. They've been shut down for the last 17 years.
Wow.
So our Prime Minister went and landed at the airstrip that we opened after 17 years and announced the project in that space. So we've done that work, and now we can get flights into our project site. Last week, we had the first flight into Baimuru, which was shut down for 15 years. So we had the first MA flight into that, and we're excited about the work that we have done. So we are getting movement in that place. We are working with Datacom and other telecommunications companies to make sure that we have good coverage for communications in that space as well. So those are some of the work that we've done.
Peter, obviously the Papua LNG project is the most significant project going on in Gulf, but it's not the only project, as you mentioned before. But there must also be a hope that the creation of a zone may attract local business to actually develop in Gulf province as well, and attract other kinds of business to the province. So what kind of businesses, other businesses, would you be looking to attract?
Thank you. The lowest hanging fruit for some of us and our local people is the resource base that they have and the day-to-day businesses that they would like to engage in and that they can do right now. And that is in the resource sector in terms of fisheries and in agriculture. So our people in Gulf are good fishermen, and they've got a lot of access to fisheries. That's one area. The other area is agriculture. So those are 2 low-hanging fruits that we are looking at for our people to get engaged in, and local investors and other investors who want to invest in that space. Also, at the same time, forestry acreage. We have got almost 20% of the forestry acreage in PNG, in Kikori. And so there's a couple of timber permits in that area that's been operating and exporting round logs. Now we want to go downstreaming. So we're looking at SME spaces that people could engage in that. And so building the road, putting the port facility or jetty facilities in place, that will open up the doors for investors to go into looking at those low-hanging fruits earlier. We will talk about the bigger projects later.
It's obviously a very exciting project that takes a long time to get off the ground. And I'm wondering, it also takes time to market such a project. I know you've been in China recently marketing the zone. What are you hearing from international investors about what they want to see in the zone? Or what's interesting about the zone to them?
Yeah, I think the most important one is the regulations that we have in place, and whether it be conducive for them to come into our space. And the other driving factor is the cost of doing business in our space. So it's very hard for us at this stage right now to give a direct answer. But in the work that we do between now and hopefully next year, that we'd create that space and put in the right regulations to make sure that investors coming in are protected and also ensure that they're making money. And then we have to build the infrastructures that would reduce the cost. So right now in PNG, maybe Australia, energy cost is very high. And so we are very close to Papua LNG, and that is our driving factor is that we are very close to Papua LNG, and the pipeline will be coming to us, and there's a T junction there. So we are looking at a very low energy cost, efficient industrial park in that space.
Peter, as you mentioned at the beginning, the Special Economic Zone Authority has been legislated by the national government already. And we can expect that to roll out not just your economic zone, but economic zones around the country. And in fact, yesterday at the conference, we heard from Clarence Hoot from the Investment Promotion Authority about several economic zones that are in the planning stages, although your zone is likely to be one of the first to open if we can get the successful investment that we need. So looking ahead into the future of the zone, one of the attractions which zones in other countries have been able to achieve is a better tax regime or a better cost regime as far as taxes and fees and so on are concerned. How advanced are the discussions for your economic zone as far as giving incentives to business to actually settle in Gulf Province?
Thank you. Yeah, I should have covered that earlier, but yeah, the Special Economic Zone Authority Act is basically clearly states that there'll be a concessions and relief from taxes for first 10 to 15 years for any new companies that come into our space. So that's the attractive part about it. Other duties, input duties and stuff like that will go into it. And so that is where we think we will be bringing most of our investors into. And we are already hearing in Port Moresby that operating companies here, and if they see that we can give them those incentives, they probably might migrate from Port Moresby, where the cost is high, the taxes are high, to our location. So that's the challenge that we, as a project, we have to provide that facility, and with the regulations that's available now, the law that's available under the Special Economic Zone Act, that will give relief to tax and duties within our environment.
Peter, what are the next milestones for you over the next year or two? What are you hoping to achieve? What are the things you're now aiming towards?
Thank you. We've basically, like I said, phase one of the project has been completed. Now we are moving to phase two. Phase two, we're looking at land mobilization. Land issue is a very big issue in our country in terms of any development. And so we are taking that on, and any developer or operator coming into our space will not have to negotiate for land. We will get that done. Government has funded us to complete that process. So in the next week or so, we have already advertised publicly companies that would be interested in working with us to complete that process. That's number one. So land mobilization. On the land mobilization, we secure the land that we have demarcated, so that will become the Special Economic Zone area. Number two program is also that we want to take on board is the environmental permit for the area. So that's what we are doing, and we have already advertised for companies who would be interested in working with us to secure the environmental permit from SEPA. So those two are the most important programs that we are running right now. Fortunately, we've been funded by the national government, so we're using that money to run those two programs, and these are important permits that we need, and that will secure and guarantee investors and other developers coming into the space. So we need to clear that in the next 1 year. Apart from that, another program that we are running is the SME program. We want to make sure that our locals who are going to be affected and impacted by this project, that also includes Papua LNG and other projects. We always leave our landowners and our resource owners to fend for themselves, to say. We don't prepare them. So what we are doing is we are putting in a big program, and this is our signature program now for IZ. SME program is our signature program for the landowners. So we're putting a lot of effort, putting a lot of resource into that space to prepare our landowners to be organized properly, to be educated, to know what is business, to, bookkeeping, simple things like bookkeeping, putting business plans in, getting things done. So that's our signature program right now, and that's what we are rolling out together with the site improvements that we are doing on the project site.
Peter, it sounds like you're doing all the right groundwork to make sure the zone is a success. We have our fingers crossed for you and for the Papua LNG project, which looks, I have to say, very promising at this stage. If an investor wants to get involved and wants to contact you, what's the best way of engaging with your project?
Thank you. We very soon we are going to launch our website. We haven't done that. We've basically been using the social media platform to promote our projects. But now we've basically put everything together for our website, so that would be the best place to go to. We do have a lot of other area organizations that are also promoting us through the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, through the Commerce and Industry, and the Special Economic Zone Authority Board. That's another place to go to. We are also located in Laguna. Our address would be made available to anybody who wants to contact us.
This is the Laguna Hotel in Port Moresby.
That's the Laguna Hotel in Port Moresby, yes.
Excellent. Peter, the very best of luck with your project, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for promoting our project.